John was a simple man. He lived in a small town where everyone knew each other. His life was quiet and normal. He worked at a local hardware store. Every day he woke up early, went to work, and came back home in the evening. John did not have many friends, and he never traveled far from his town. He was content with his life, even though it was ordinary and simple. John's family was small. He lived alone in a small apartment. His parents had passed away many years ago. The only family he had left was his uncle, Richard. But John and Richard were not close. Richard was rich and lived far away in a big city. John had only met him a few times when he was a child. Richard was a mysterious man, rarely visiting the town or talking much about his life. John knew very little about him. One day, John was working in the store when a letter arrived for him. The letter was from a law office in the big city. John was surprised and curious. Who could be sending him a letter from so far away? The letter said it was about his Uncle Richard. The letter told John that Richard had passed away recently. It also said that John was the only heir to Richard's fortune. John could not believe it. He never thought his uncle would leave him anything, and certainly not a fortune. The letter said that John needed to come to the city to meet the lawyer and discuss the details. John was both excited and nervous. What kind of fortune did Richard have? Why was he leaving it to John? John decided he had to find out. A few days later, John packed a small bag and traveled to the city. The city was big and busy. It was very different from his quiet town. Tall buildings, noisy streets, and many people everywhere. John felt a little lost, but he kept going. He found the address of the lawyer's office and knocked on the door. Inside, a kind-looking woman greeted him. She introduced herself as Ms. Carter, the lawyer who managed Richard's will. She told John that his uncle had been very wealthy. Richard owned many businesses, properties, and even some special things John had never heard of. The total value of the inheritance was more than John could imagine. It was enough to change his life forever. But then, Ms. Carter said something strange. She said that there was a special condition in Richard's will. Before John could get the inheritance, he had to accept 2 wives who were part of the inheritance. 2. John was confused and shocked. Wives? 2 wives? What did that mean? He asked her to explain more. Ms. Carter looked serious and said, "These wives are not ordinary. They are alien beings from another world." John stared at her, thinking, she must be joking or he was dreaming. But she showed him a video. On the screen, 2 beautiful, unusual creatures appeared. They looked very different from humans, with smooth, glowing skin, big eyes, and peaceful faces. They were calm and graceful. Ms. Carter said these 2 aliens had lived with Richard for many years, hidden from the world. John could not believe what he was seeing. Aliens? On Earth? And his uncle had 2 alien wives living in secret? It was too much to take in. But Ms. Carter said it was true. She explained that Richard wanted John to accept them as part of the family before he could get the inheritance. It was a test of kindness and acceptance. John felt many emotions. He was scared, confused, and curious all at once. He wondered if this was some kind of trick or scam, but the lawyer was serious and showed him many documents proving everything was real. John knew he had a big decision to make. That night, John stayed in a hotel thinking about what he had learned. Could he accept 2 alien wives? Could he open his heart to beings so different from him? John thought about his Uncle Richard. Maybe Richard wanted John to learn something important about life, love, and family. Maybe this was more than just an inheritance. Maybe it was a chance to change his life and the world. The next morning, John went to the mansion where Richard had lived. It was a large, beautiful house with gardens and many rooms. As he entered, he felt a strange mix of fear and hope. He was about to meet the 2 alien wives for the first time. John did not know what to expect, but he was ready to face whatever came next. In the mansion's living room, two figures appeared. They were the alien wives. Both looked peaceful and kind. One had skin that shimmered like silver in the light, and the other had soft blue skin that seemed to glow gently. Their eyes were large and bright, full of curiosity and warmth. They spoke in a soft voice, and their words were calm and polite. John felt surprised but not afraid. There was something gentle and honest about them. They introduced themselves as Lyra and Sora. They told John about their home world, a distant planet called Eloria, and how they had come to Earth many years ago to live quietly with Richard. They said they never wanted to cause trouble, but hoped to live in peace. John listened carefully. He asked many questions about their lives, their culture, and how they had come to be part of his uncle's family. Lyra and Sora answered patiently. John realized that despite their differences, they shared many hopes and feelings like any human. They wanted friendship, safety, and a place to belong. That day was the beginning of a new chapter for John. He was no longer just a simple man from a small town. He was now the guardian of a great fortune and two very special alien wives. He knew his life would change forever, and he was ready to learn how to live in this new world of wonders and challenges. As the sun set outside the mansion, John sat quietly with Lyra and Sora. They talked about the future and the adventures that awaited them. John felt a strange but wonderful feeling, hope. He realized that sometimes the most unexpected surprises could lead to the most incredible journeys. After that first evening, John's life became very different. The two alien wives, Lyra and Sora, stayed at the mansion with him. They had come from a distant planet, and everything about them was new and strange to John. But he was curious. He wanted to learn more about them and understand their world. The next morning, John woke up early. He was still trying to accept everything that had happened. He had inherited a great fortune, but with it came two wives from another planet. It was hard to believe, but it was true. He decided he would try to be open-minded and see where this new journey would take him. John met Lyra and Sora in the kitchen. They were preparing breakfast using technology John had never seen before. The kitchen tools floated in the air and cooked food quickly with light beams. John was amazed. He watched as they worked silently and gracefully. They smiled warmly at him, and their kindness made him feel more comfortable. Lyra spoke first. Her voice was soft but strong. She said, "We know this is very strange for you, John. We want to live peacefully and help you in any way we can." Sora nodded and added, "We will try to make your life easier. Please ask us anything you want to know." John felt a little better hearing this. He realized they were not so different after all. They had feelings and hopes, just like humans. He asked many questions about their planet, Eloria. They explained it was far away, with skies that changed colors and plants that glowed at night. Their world was peaceful, but faced dangers, which is why they had come to Earth. As the days passed, John learned more about Lyra and Sora. They taught him about their culture, their customs, and their ways of thinking. John found their ideas interesting. For example, they valued harmony and kindness above everything. They believed in helping others and living without harm. This made John think about his own life and what really mattered. John also shared his life story with them. He told them about his town, his job, and his simple dreams. Lyra and Sora listened carefully and asked many questions. They wanted to understand human feelings and emotions. John realized that even though they looked very different, their hearts were similar. One day, John decided to show Lyra and Sora around the city. They had never been outside the mansion much before. John took them to parks, markets, and quiet streets. People stared at them, surprised by their unusual appearance. But Lyra and Sora were calm and polite. They smiled and greeted people in a gentle way. Some were afraid, but others were curious and kind. John felt proud of them. He saw that they could live among humans without causing harm. He hoped others would accept them too. Still, he knew it would take time for people to understand and trust these alien visitors. Back at the mansion, John spent many evenings talking with Lyra and Sora. They shared stories from their past and dreams for the future. John learned that Richard, his uncle, had loved them very much. Richard had protected them from those who wanted to harm them or use their powers for bad reasons. Now it was John's turn to protect them. But life was not always easy. John sometimes felt overwhelmed. He was still new to this big inheritance and the responsibility of caring for two very different beings. He missed his old, simple life sometimes. He wondered if he was ready for this challenge. Lyra and Sora noticed John's worries. They comforted him and reminded him that they were a family now. They promised to support him no matter what. Their kindness gave John strength. He began to feel less alone and more hopeful. John also started to discover special things about Lyra and Sora. They had abilities that seemed magical to him. Lyra could heal small wounds by touching the skin, and Sora could communicate with animals and plants in the garden. These gifts amazed John and made him realize how special his new family was. One evening, John received a call from the lawyer, Ms. Carter. She warned him that some powerful groups had learned about the alien wives. They were curious and wanted to find out more. Some of these groups could be dangerous. John needed to be careful and protect his home and family. John felt a chill. He knew this was only the beginning of bigger challenges, but he also knew he was not alone. Lyra and Sora stood by his side, ready to face whatever came next. With each passing day, John grew more confident. He started to believe that maybe this strange and unexpected life was exactly what he needed. It was full of mystery, hope, and new friendships. And for the first time, John felt truly alive. Living together was not always easy for John, Lyra, and Sora. Their lives were very different in many ways. John was used to a quiet, simple life on Earth. Lyra and Sora came from a distant planet with customs and habits unlike anything John had seen before. But they wanted to make this family work. They wanted to live together in peace and learn from each other. At first, the differences were hard to handle. Lyra and Sora slept at different times than John because their planet had a different day and night cycle. Sometimes they would talk in their own language, which John could not understand. They used strange gestures and expressions. John felt lonely at times because he was still trying to adjust. But John was patient. He remembered how his uncle Richard had loved Lyra and Sora and had wanted him to accept them. John started to learn their language little by little. He also asked them about their traditions. Lyra and Sora were happy to teach him. One of their customs was called the Harmony Ceremony. It was a special ritual to show respect and trust between family members. Lyra explained that it helped them understand each other's feelings and thoughts better. John joined in the ceremony, and it helped him feel closer to his alien wives. John also discovered that Lyra and Sora had a strong connection to nature. They cared deeply for plants and animals. The mansion had a beautiful garden, and the two alien wives spent many hours tending to it. John enjoyed watching them work, and he sometimes helped too. The garden felt like a small piece of their home planet brought to Earth. Over time, John learned to appreciate their strange habits. For example, Lyra did not eat food the way humans did. She absorbed nutrients from a glowing liquid called Elara that came from their planet. Sora enjoyed Earth food, but liked to add special herbs from her world. John even tried some of these herbs and found them tasty. As the days passed, John, Lyra, and Sora built a new kind of family. They shared meals, stories, and laughter. John taught them about Earth's culture, music, and movies. Lyra and Sora shared stories about their stars, their planet's history, and the peaceful ways of their people. One afternoon, John showed Lyra and Sora some old family photos of his uncle, Richard. They smiled warmly as they remembered him. Richard had been kind and wise, and he had made sure his two wives were safe and happy. John felt proud to carry on his uncle's legacy, but not everything was peaceful. John noticed that some visitors came to the mansion. They were curious scientists and reporters who had heard rumors about the aliens. John was cautious. He did not want Lyra and Sora to be treated as experiments or objects of curiosity. He wanted them to be respected and safe. One day, a group of government agents arrived unexpectedly. They said they wanted to talk to John and learn about the alien wives. John was firm but polite. He told them that Lyra and Sora were his family and deserved privacy and respect. The agents agreed to leave for now, but warned John that more questions would come. John realized that living with alien wives was not just about personal adjustment. It was about protecting them from a world that might not understand or accept them easily. He promised himself he would do everything he could to keep them safe. Lyra and Sora were grateful for John's support. They also wanted to help him. Lyra shared some of her healing powers, which John used to help local people with minor injuries and illnesses. This made John feel useful and brought him closer to the community. Sora used her gift to communicate with animals and plants to improve the mansion's garden. It became a peaceful place that attracted birds and butterflies. John loved spending time there, feeling calm and happy. The three of them grew closer every day. They were learning from each other, sharing life, and creating a new kind of family. John was no longer afraid of the unknown. He was curious and hopeful. One evening, as the sun set, John sat with Lyra and Sora in the garden. They talked about their future. John told them he wanted to use his uncle's fortune to build a place where humans and aliens could live together peacefully, a place where differences were celebrated, not feared. Lyra smiled and said, "Your uncle was wise. He believed in kindness and unity. Now you carry his dream forward." Sora added, "We will stand by you, John. Together, we can make a better world." John felt a deep sense of purpose. He knew that challenges would come, but with Lyra and Sora, he was ready for anything. They were not just alien wives, they were family. That night, John went to bed feeling hopeful. He dreamed of stars, new worlds, and the beautiful life they could build together. The journey was just beginning, but he knew it would be extraordinary. Life for John, Lyra, and Sora had started to settle into a new routine, but they soon discovered that the world outside the mansion was not always kind. Word had spread quietly about the two alien wives living with John. Some people were curious, but others were afraid. John knew this would bring challenges, and soon enough those challenges began to arrive at their door. One morning, as John was reading the news, he saw reports about mysterious beings living secretly on Earth. Some news outlets called them aliens and created stories full of fear and confusion. Many people did not understand what these beings really were. The news made John worried. He knew Lyra and Sora could be in danger if the wrong people came looking for them. The mansion's peaceful days were soon disturbed by visits from strangers. Some were government agents who wanted to study the alien wives. Others were reporters hoping to get a sensational story. John tried to protect Lyra and Sora, asking these visitors to respect their privacy, but it was difficult to keep everyone away. One evening, a group of men in dark suits came to the mansion. They claimed to work for a secret government agency. John invited them inside, but kept a careful eye on them. The men asked many questions about Lyra and Sora, where they came from, what powers they had, and if they posed any danger to Earth. John answered calmly but firmly. He told them that Lyra and Sora were peaceful beings who wanted no harm. He explained that his uncle had cared for them, and now he was their protector. The men left with many questions but no clear answers. John felt tired and worried. He realized that keeping his family safe would not be easy. But Lyra and Sora comforted him. Lyra said, "John, we have faced dangers before on our planet. We can face them here together." Sora added, "Fear comes from not understanding. We must show kindness and trust." John knew they were right. He began to think about how to protect his family and help others understand the truth. He decided to open parts of the mansion to the public. With careful planning, he invited scientists, peaceful leaders, and curious people to visit. He wanted to show the world that Lyra and Sora were not threats, but friends. This was a brave step. Some people were still afraid, but many were surprised to see how gentle and kind Lyra and Sora were. They listened to stories about their planet and their peaceful ways. People began to ask questions with respect and interest, not fear. John also used some of his uncle's wealth to create a security team. This team made sure the mansion was safe from unwanted visitors. They watched the area and helped keep everything peaceful. John felt grateful for this protection. Despite the challenges, John, Lyra, and Sora's family grew stronger. They learned to face fear with courage and kindness. John understood that his uncle's legacy was more than money. It was about acceptance and love. One day, a famous scientist named Dr. Elena Morales visited the mansion. She was known for her work in space exploration and had always hoped to find proof of life beyond Earth. Meeting Lyra and Sora was a dream come true for her. She was amazed by their intelligence, stories, and peaceful nature. Dr. Morales worked with John to help educate people about aliens and the importance of harmony between different beings. Together, they planned talks and events to teach others about friendship beyond worlds. John felt hopeful. He saw a future where humans and aliens could live together in peace. But he also knew it would take time and effort. There would be fears to overcome and many misunderstandings to clear. At night, when the visitors left and the mansion grew quiet, John sat with Lyra and Sora in the garden. They talked about the difficulties they faced and the dreams they shared. Lyra said, "John, you have done well. Our family is growing stronger every day." Sora smiled and added, "We will face the future together no matter what." John looked at the stars above and felt a deep sense of peace. He knew the road ahead would be long, but with his family by his side, he was ready for anything. They had each other, and that was enough. The mansion was no longer just a house. It was a symbol of hope, courage, and unity. John believed that one day the world would understand that love and friendship could come in many forms, even from distant stars. As time went on, John, Lyra, and Sora grew closer and stronger as a family. They had faced many challenges, but they never gave up hope. John knew that his life had changed in ways he could never have imagined, and he was grateful for the chance to be part of something so special. John used his uncle's wealth wisely. He built a center near the mansion called the Unity House. This was a place where humans and aliens could come together to learn, share stories, and live peacefully. The Unity House had classrooms, gardens, and a large hall for events. It was a symbol of friendship and hope for many. Lyra and Sora helped John run the Unity House. They taught visitors about their planet, their culture, and the importance of kindness. Many people came from far away to see them and learn from their experiences. John was proud to see the walls of fear slowly coming down. The world outside the mansion was changing too. News stories about Lyra and Sora became more positive. People started to understand that aliens could be friends, not enemies. Some cities even invited John and his wives to speak about peace and cooperation between different beings. John's story inspired many. He showed that family is not just about where someone comes from or what they look like, but about love, respect, and acceptance. People began to think differently about the universe and the possibilities it held. John, Lyra, And Sora also found joy in small moments. They shared meals, laughed together, and enjoyed music from Earth and Aloria. Lyra loved painting, and Sora enjoyed gardening. John joined them in these activities and felt happier than ever before. One special day, John took Lyra and Sora to the local school. They spoke to children about their lives and their home planet. The children were curious and excited. They asked many questions and wanted to learn more about stars and aliens. John smiled, knowing the future was bright. Although life was better, John knew challenges would never fully disappear. There would always be people who feared the unknown, but he believed that through understanding and kindness, those fears could be overcome. John looked at Lyra and Sora one evening as they watched the stars together. He felt deep gratitude. They were not just his alien wives, they were his partners, his family, and his friends. Together they had built a life filled with hope, peace, and endless possibilities. John realized that sometimes the most surprising gifts in life came in unexpected forms. His uncle's fortune was more than money. It was a chance to open his heart and change the world. With Lyra and Sora by his side, John knew that the future would be filled with adventure, love, and new discoveries. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if celebrating the bond between three very different but deeply connected souls. John smiled, ready to face whatever the universe had in store, knowing he was never alone.